Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors into the elders, the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. And always on the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. It's Akim Mahalaya coming back with another lesson. Lord, it's going to be edifying. This is just a quick lesson, just my 2 cents on this whole throne of David thing. That we've been really going into, and like some heavy spiritual edification and some high level nuggets have been coming out because you got these guys out of Sakari. And I didn't even watch the video. I didn't have to because, we was talking about it in a group chat. And I don't tend to really get in Sakari's videos unless the spirit really hops on me because my attention span is rather short and I really don't have to, I don't have patience to sit through 3 hours worth of the book or 3.5 hours of bullshit. I ain't got that kind of patience, honestly. Some brothers may have it, but I can kind of skim through it and the spirit will let me know exactly what I need to know. So with that being said, just off this topic, it was stated that David was just going to be an ordinary king and that he wasn't going to sit back on the throne. Well, the scriptures say differently, okay? Because for one thing, you got to understand that who was the first to sit on David's throne? It was his son Solomon. Okay, because when David was attempting to build a temple to the Most High said, well, you can't. You have too much blood on your hands. So Solomon was able to partake in that work and able to sit on the throne of David, which was symbolic because I think it was 40 years of peace, okay, before Israel started to rebel and when Solomon went over to idolatry. But nonetheless, that 40-year prosperity period, which is a very short time compared to the times we've went off, shows you that it's going to be a throne of peace. And Yahweh Shai is going to be that ultimate king. But David is not just going to be some regular king, okay? Because you have the Most High Yahweh, you have Yahweh Shai, then you have David, okay? Which we know in the reincarnation to be Peter, okay? Even Moses, which was men of the Lord, okay? Then you have the other 11 apostles, then the prophets, and so forth, because the 11 or the 12 disciples, they're nothing but the prophets coming back. Everything is regenerated. That spirit is in the earth. And as we stated, that the reason why Al-Azhar is doing what he's doing is because, for one thing, he doesn't want authority. He doesn't want anybody ruling over him because he's hell-bent on establishing his Levitical priesthood. But if you understand the context of the Levitical priesthood, we will all be condemned under the law of Moses because the scriptures tell you, it says that the law was put in place for sinners. Okay, and we have a better law, a better covenant that's promising to us in these times we're getting ready to go into. A covenant when the Most High is going to take out the stony heart and give us, the stony heart and give us a heart of flesh, when we can keep the law, statutes, and commandments and keep them perfectly. Because this first covenant, that was temporal. Okay, it was temporal. All right, so you have to understand too, the reason why Yahweh Shai said what he said to Peter. Because for one thing, the first person or one of the first people that we know, besides the Magi's and his parents and other men at that time, revealed who the Lord was. He asked the disciples. He said, "Well, who do ye think I am?" And then Peter answered it and said, "Thou I perceive that thou art the Son of the Most High." And then he said, "Look, flesh and blood didn't give it to you, but the Spirit." And he said, "Upon you I will build my rock." So that's not an ordinary man. Okay, because even the 12 disciples, they say, some say you this, some say you that, but we perceive you to be the Messiah. And with that being said, the Most High already put it on Peter to be the head of the church, okay? Yahweh Shai knew that. He was set up. So that's not an ordinary man. That's not an ordinary man, okay? Because believe it or not, David is over Paul, okay? Because even when you had certain discrepancies among the churches, having the Gentiles, in order to get edification and clarification on certain things, Paul had to go and establish it with Peter. He just couldn't supersede his authority. So Paul, by him being an authoritative figure in the scriptures, now he was the apostle that had the biggest lot because Yahweh Shai dealt directly with him. Same thing with the 12. But you have to understand the province where Paul was at. He was sent to the Israelites. So he had to have the dispersed Israelites. He was sent to the Gentiles. So he had to have a bigger lot. Peter dealt with the circumcision, but nonetheless, Paul still had to get authority or get approval from Peter. So he was like, well, look, I have to go back into the land and get approval for this, and this, because he knew that Peter was the Lord's man. That's why the Lord was always on Peter's ass. He rebuked him several times, called him Satan, etc. You know, and people say, well, he denied the Lord. Well, it was in the spirit for him to deny the Lord, because let's just say if he didn't deny the Lord when the Lord got hemmed up before the crucifixion, they would have hemmed Peter up too. Then who was going to establish the church? So that was all set up to the spirit. So did he ultimately go off? No, the Lord set it up that way. You know, and that offense, technically honest, Yahweh Shai, he just winked at it like, okay, whatever, because he knew. Okay, so let's get a couple of precepts on the importance of David. All right, we're not going to make this long, but this is the book of, let's start up Psalms 27:5. It says, for in a time of trouble, he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. What's that? Really, symbolically, it's this truth, this understanding. You see what I'm saying? And it says, and he shall set me upon a rock. All right, so think about it. He said, upon that rock would I establish my church, and the gates of hell should not prevail against it. Because Peter's name, which means rock, or I think it was Cephas. I think that was his surname, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, Salakia. But his name means a rock. Or that's one of the many titles of the name of Peter. Okay, and it says here, he should set me upon a rock. A rock is a very solid foundation. Like if you ever went to a lakefront or a beach or, you know, like an ocean, and they have certain places where you have the stones. The waves and so forth beat on those stones, but yet they're unmovable. Why? Because that's the foundation that the Lord is building. Okay, starting with Peter, which is the head of the church. Okay, the house of David, which Lord's will we hope it to be part of. Okay, we are all stones that's building up that spiritual temple. We're all rocks, we're all stones that play a vital part in this thing. Every last one of us, if we're found worthy. All right, it says, for in a time of trouble, he shall hide me in his pavilion, and in the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me, and he shall set me upon a rock. All right, so let's get a precept here. This is the book of Matthew 16, and it came to pass, and I'm going to start verses here. This is, I'm going to start at verses 13. It says, and when Yahweh Shai came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, who do men say that I am the Son of Man? He said, who do men say I, the Son of Man, am? So basically he said, who do they say I am? And he said, some say that thou art John the Baptist. See, they understood reincarnation. They understood the importance of men coming back in their lot, according to Daniel's the 12th chapter. And also according to Corinthians, when it tells you that the prophets are subjected into the prophets. Everything is rekindled. Everything is reincarnated. So if you were doing the work of the Most High in this time, then if you was one of the Lord's men in the ancient world, then you're going to be one of his men in this world, because it's not of us that doeth the work, but it's of the Most High that calleth us. Has nothing to do with what we do. It's just because the Most High, this is his program. And it says, and they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist. Some say Elias, which is Elijah, which same people. Okay. And others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets. See, they understood reincarnation. And he said it to them, but whom say ye that I am? So he said, but who do you say? Then Simon Peter answered and said, you notice Peter, it says, thou art the anointed, the Son of the living power. So Peter already knew who he was. He already knew who he was in the spirit. And it's so cold-blooded. They had that whole bonding because guess what? Peter, this is how cold the Lord is, right? This is a gem. Peter, by him being David, who was his son? And that's the spirit is 555, means power. Who was Peter's, who was David's son? Peter. Not Peter Salaki. Who was David's son? Solomon. And who was Solomon? Yahweh Shai. So you see how it flipped, tipsy-turny? That's cold-blooded because now Yahweh Shai is going to be over the house of David, sitting on the throne of David, but on a higher position than David. That's why it says I would give him the throne of his father. It was talking about David. Okay, because who was Solomon? Yahweh Shai. Who's the king over Israel ultimately is going to be Yahweh Shai, but David is still going to reign over Israel, and we're going to prove that too. All right, and it says here, Simon Peter, which is David, answered and said, thou art the anointed, the Son of the living power. And Yahweh Shai answered and said it to him, blessed art thou, Simon Barna. It says Barjona. For flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. So the Most High gave him the breakdown. He said, that was the spirit that you said that. And Salakia, man, Cephas means rock. I think that was another surname of Peter. I have to look it up again because I've came across it. But it says, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. It means the Holy Spirit revealed it to him. It says, and I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Wow. See how deep that is? So he chose the man. The man was already chosen. David was already chosen for the foundations of the world. Okay, and what we just read in Psalms, Psalms 27:5, read it again. It says, for in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion, and in the secret of the tabernacle shall he hide me, and he shall set me upon a rock. That's the precept right there. Okay, because it says this is a psalm of David. So these are the words of David. And it says here, and I say unto thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So all you millions out there, you guys that's coming against the truth with your twisted doctrine, is you don't want Yahweh Shah to reign over you, you're going to be a fulfillment of Luke 19:27, when it says, bring hither and slay. Because like we mentioned, this guy Sakari, Elder Yahshua said it. He said if he had his way, he'll go up to the heavens and sit above David or Yahweh Shai, because he has a problem with authority. And this is the reason why he came against the apostles of Great Millstone, because he hates authority. He doesn't know how to take the law. You know what I'm saying? He's very prideful. You know, thinking the Levitical priesthood is going to save you. No, that's not going to save you, man. All right. And through the Spirit, I'm a Levite. And I even know that's not the case. So you going off, man, you know. And it says, and I will also give thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. It's not that's not a regular guy, man. That's not none of the men of the Lord, 144,000 all unique spirits. They're all going to be kings on high levels, but you're going to have levels in the kingdom. Going to the parable of the talents, man. The parable of the talents, when this man received 10 talents, he received 5, he received 2, he received 1. Each man is going to have their particular strengths in the kingdom. We're all going to build. Okay, it's not going to be an envious spirit. Well, he got 10 talents. No, that's nigga shit that's going to be left on this side. And that's what you doing, Alizé. Okay, and it says, and I'm going to give thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. So, hey, Peter was the guy. He was the dude. David was the dude from day one, period. Yahweh Shah is that dude, but hey, the Lord is dealing with him. That's his head dude. When Yahweh Shah left, hey, who was the Spirit giving it to? Peter. He was the one the Lord was dealing with at the head. He was dealing with Peter more than the other ones, man, because he was over them. Then the Lord dealt with David. It says he was a man after the Most High's own heart. And it says here, and thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Okay? So, dang, who revealed, who found out that he was the anointed out of the disciples? Peter did. And Peter stood up and he answered. Just imagine, we're not saying the other disciples didn't know, but sometimes like when the apostles throw those questions out, brothers may know the answer, but then there's always that one brother that step up and break the shit down, man, because that Kanye is like, look, this is what it is, bam, bam, bam. And then, hey, you know, you on a level. So these guys, man, they don't understand the scriptures, but let's look at it. Let's go a little bit more in depth. Okay. So this is the book of Ezekiel 37, and it gets good. This is the book of Ezekiel. Let's start at verses 20, 21. It says, and said to them, thus says the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone. And this is a future prophecy. This is getting ready to happen. And will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land, which proves that them people in Israel, they're not the people. Okay, because that prophecy wasn't fulfilled back in 1948 or 1967. This is not talking about the Belfort. It's not talking about that. Okay, this is way beyond that. And that was not prophecy. That was propaganda. And it says here, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king should be king to them all. And they should be no more two nations, neither should they be divided into two kingdoms no more at all. So they, you know, the southern and northern kingdom is just going to be one kingdom of Israel, all 12 tribes. All right. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor should their detestable things, nor any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. You can read about that in Leviticus and in Revelation, the 21st chapter, when when it says I will be their God. Well, I think that's the 20th chapter. It says, and David, my servant, shall be king over them. There you go. Okay, it says one king, which is going into Yahweh Shai, but it also says, and David, my servant, shall be king over them. So what are you talking about, man? It even went into, I think it's in Samuel, 2 Samuel, when it say that the throne of David should be established forever. So, and it says, and they all shall have one shepherd, okay, which is going to be Yahweh Shai, and they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. So if we could close the book on that. It says, and David, my servant, shall be king over them. This is a future prophecy. So the scriptures say in Deuteronomy that thy king should go forth in captivity with us. So if he went in captivity with us and the Lord raised him up to do the work, which we believe is King Mashah, which I don't really speak on because I don't know him. I don't know the history like that outside of what the apostles bring out. But, you know, through the spirit, they believe that, you know, he was the king of King David. And we believe it because it's through the spirit. And if he was raising up to doing the work and died in the work, what make you think the Lord is not going to raise him back up to his position? Because then the scriptures tell you that the Most High is not unrighteous to forget the works of you've labored in love towards his name. So yes, he's going to come back and reclaim his throne over Israel under Yahweh Shai. Okay, so that's one. We got another precept here. This is the same thing. This is the book of Isaiah 32. And I'm going to start at verses, Isaiah 32. And this is 24. Let me make sure. Oh, matter of fact, this is the same one we just read. Yep. Matter of fact, no, this is 30. What is this? 32 and Hosea 3 and 5. This is Hosea 3 and 5 here. This is Ezekiel 37 and 24. Yep, so this is Hosea 3 and 5. It says, afterwards the children of Israel shall return and seek Yahweh their power and David their king. See? It says, and they should come in fear to do the Lord and do his goodness in the latter days. Okay, that's Hosea 3 and 5. You can read that. Yep. So anyway, yep, I can end it there, man. Giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of great millstone, blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord's will you were edified into the next lesson. Shalom.